What's going on YouTube? We at the Bancho Boys are happy to announce our BT14 feature tournament. Like always, we picked 8 decks from the upcoming Digimon set, and they're going to duke it out in a double elimination bracket to see who comes out on top. But this time around, we're doing things differently, aren't we, Nick?
Yeah, so this time around, we thought it would be a lot better if we could make one-off digestible matchup videos and then have some commentation afterward um, from the players. This way, we could talk about what we were thinking during our plays, what we had running in our deck, and stuff like that. And it would probably be a bit more easier to digest one at a time in these sorts of videos rather than doing a long stream like before.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments what you think of this new format, because we're always looking to try to make these videos more entertaining for you guys. So, without further ado, let's get into the first match. So we're starting off with Seraphimon versus BloomLord. I am piloting Seraphimon, while Nick, you were piloting BloomLord. So how do you feel about some of the new BloomLord stuff?
I actually really like it. I think it's really cool. The new Mimi, she has a search effect as well as the ability to gain some memory back when you suspend by effect. And I really wanted to see what she could do in tandem with the Togemon, where when you suspend Togemon, you can play out a Green Tamer for 3 memory less. Uh, that plus the training cards and the Lilymon Ace. I wanted to see what all they could do, so I made sure to put plenty of those in the deck. I think I have a full playset of the new Mimi.
Right, yeah, you really want to capitalize off the search. As for myself, like, Yellow was the first deck that I played when I started the game. I played BT4 Yellow or Greymon. And this new Seraphimon deck felt like a return to form to me. I really like this idea of like evolving into security, and I like how the deck encourages you to play more Digimon as opposed to more kill options. Because you really need to see Digimon in your security to do things like the new Patamon or Messenger of Hope. And, you know, just this turn, we're about to see me use the Patamon for the first time, evolving to a 4 my security for free. It's like such a powerful effect.
Yeah, I was just left trying to set up something on board. I got that Agitar a little bit late, and you were going to 3 with TK with that Patamon setup. It was really nice on your end.
Yeah.
Um, and then being able to get this Patamon going and then use Messenger of Hope into the Magna Ace. I'm just thinking maybe I can get Agitar to stick with the Cherrymon, um, but this Messenger of Hope is really putting a lot of pressure on, especially after a Patamon Evo from Raising.
Yeah, it sure is, and like double messenger like really hurt this turn because that is what's going to allow me to drain one body and just attack over the other. And one thing I did notice that I'm actually doing some of these recovery effects a little wrong. With Messenger of Hope, you're actually supposed to shuffle your security, then recover. Like I forgot to do that a few times there, but I'm pretty sure I fixed that in the next game.
Right, and so I actually did get my whole board wiped because you were able to interact with it without swinging very much, and I lost full Togemon value any shot at that. So I just have to play a Mimi to try to catch up, get my own memory tamer on the board. And my hand, I've got 2 trainings, 2 boosts, the 4 searcher Mimis, but they're not really showing up, so my hand keeps ending up kind of awkward.
Yeah, and meanwhile I'm resolving Patamon for the second turn in a row, which just snowballs so much advantage. Like, I can get the one of Geogray out of security, and then the Geogray can get this TK out of security, and then this TK can get any card I want out of security, so it's just chain after chain. I just pulled 3 cards out of security.
Yep, and you're getting memory back from the Patamon Inherited. You've got 2 of them now, so you're at 5 memory. That's pretty crazy. And you've gotten so many cards that now you've got another Patamon in Raising for the next game.
Yep.
Also, you're swinging in, but your Seraphimon, you're running that new Nyaromon.
Yeah, sure am. Like, I think it's a much better baby than the Tokomon is. Like, if you play this deck, you'll notice that it's very easy to deck yourself out because of how much you recover. So, I think it's better to get the jamming so that you don't have to worry about dying to security checks. And now I've done Ruin mode, and you're just under the blanket now, so there's, like, hardly anything you can do with BloomLord.
Yep, I'm stuck in Raising. I didn't see a level 5, and then, of course, the next card was Agitar, which would have been perfect the turn prior.
Yeah.
And you're about to swing in Ruin mode. He's going to put another 5k blanket on my board. I'm going to be stuck in Raising if I even get a chance to come out.
Yep.
Which I'm pretty sure this is the last turn.
Yeah.
You've even got 7 security at this point from the Magna Angemon Ace plus the Seraphimon.
Yeah, like, it's just been, like, such a powerful series of turns for me. Like, resolving the Patamon 3 turns in a row is kind of rare for this deck, but when it goes off, like, the deck is just so impressive looking.
Yeah, kind of funny. We realized the super rare Patamon is actually data. So
Yes.
if you play Kudamon and you're looking for a vaccine and a yellow tamer, you can't take the super rare Patamon, which is
Yeah.
really counterintuitive. I mean, even even Shine Greymon, the Agumons are vaccine, which is it's just silly that Patamon's not.
Yeah, it's a little unusual. It probably has something to do with lore, if I had to guess. Maybe the implication is like Patamon becomes holy when it becomes level 4 or something. I don't quite know. But here in this game, like, I open it again, and I get to use the TK to take a peek and see if I've got any options in there.
Grabbing that Messenger of Hope, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go second because I would like to respond to your board rather than have my board responded to. I kept thinking like, well, if I have, you know, Lily Ace or something like that, I'm probably never going to get to resolve a Blast Digivolve because you're not going to swing unless you've already drained or removed something, or I just don't have any more level 4s.
Yep.
So I'm just looking for Agitar. I'm looking for all that search I've got in the deck and taking what I can get. Again, I'm like hard playing the Mimi on that prior turn just to have my own memory setter, but I just want to keep playing to the board, doing something, and keeping up the tempo with this Mimi. I do think BT1 Mimi was always the best tamer for this deck. Not Yoshino, but Yoshino came into favor in BT13 just because you could play it by effect, which is, again is why I really wanted to try and get something going with this Togemon, but I was getting drained way too hard by the yellow vaccine, especially in game 1.
Yep. And now this turn, we're about to see some more drain because this Angemon is about to do his one attacking effect, where he deletes himself to drain something by 5k, and then if you control a tamer, you get to hatch an egg. So that's going to drain you by 5. And then I'm about to hard play this Magnamon Ace to do the rest of the drain. Unfortunately, like, I was wanting to evolve into the Magna Ace and then evolve the Seraphi, but I didn't have it yet. And then of course I top deck it. So, you know, it would have been nice if I had actually evolved, but you know, you can't predict what you're going to top deck. It's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really able to capitalize on that Gatomon that you had to hard play by going into Lily Ace. Even if I do it for the full cost, I guess it's okay.
Right.
Just because she's kind of awkward to Digivolve into when you need to do a BloomLord combo. She's not really intuitive for the deck, except when you have a leftover level 4 and you want a Blast Ace. So in this moment, I was trying to think like, hey, what if I do Togemon and get a Tamer? And I'm like, can't use Agitar. I don't have like a Mushroomon or anything like that. So I've just got to go straight to Agitar. I've got to do, BloomLord things. In this case, I was just thinking to myself, all right, can I afford Hydramon and retain turn with Overflow? And Overflow 3, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get that back.
This was a very efficient clapback on your side. Like, you get to evolve for 4 thanks to the Togemon Inherit, and then the Agitar gains a memory from suspending Pomu, and then Pomu suspends the Ace, and then Hydra gains memory because something was suspended, and then you bot deck the Ace, getting Overflow. Like, you basically just made Hydramon for free as a result.
Yeah, and then I was looking at Hydramon there at the end, and I'm like, oh, Hydramon's virus. And I'm just like, I gotta go to courts.
Yep.
Just gotta walk down the board. Don't get hit by an Angemon, just getting rid of the Hydramon.
Yep, and that was the correct call. Even though I did not have the Angemon in hand, like, you had no way of knowing that. That was still the right thing to do.
Yeah, Quartzmon doing pretty fantastic for this deck, especially if I can, if I can't spit out a Tamer, if Togemon can help, or if I can't spit out another body, if Togemon can spit out a Tamer or something like that, that helps for Quartzmon as well.
Yep. And right here, really, like, I don't have a great way to respond, so all I can really do is just make Venusmon and just be like, well, you can't kill me next turn. I don't think I'll ever kill you, but we're gonna sit here.
Yeah, I had a lot of mental math and whatnot to do at this point. I got +1 from the Argo Inherited, if I'm remembering correctly. And I had to remember I could not do the one attacking effect under the blanket, so I didn't swing the Quartzmon, even though maybe it would have been fine, but I didn't want to risk losing Quartzmon to something that you could have done with the Venus one, maybe some more draining.
Yeah.
And then thinking about all that one attack and stuff, I totally forgot I shouldn't be getting that one Digivolving effect from Sunplow.
Yep.
We weren't thinking about that.
Yeah, and at this point, I was just resigned to losing, so I just don't even think I noticed. Like, I'm literally just like playing cards to be like, well, let's just get it to next turn quickly. Yeah, so I played the TK, just hoping to get
without like training plus the memory from TK, you couldn't go to ruin mode and retain turn, and even if you could, he couldn't swing because he's under Quartzmon. So I was like, I don't think it would have made a difference in this match, and since I've managed to get control of the board, just because you were missing those super rare Patamons, they're so important, and also it looks like they weren't in security because you weren't grabbing them from the 4-cost TKs.
Yeah, and I think that there actually were 2 of the Patamons in there, but I elected to grab the Ruin mode instead because I'm just like, that's the only way I can possibly come back, even if I do manage to come back. Yeah. Like, the one unfortunate thing about this deck is that its other rookies are just kind of bad. Like, the Patamon's really good, but whenever you're, like, sitting on, EX1 Patamon, like there, like, you just have no pressure on your opponent because you're not going to get that free evolve, so you have to, like, find another way to situate yourself into getting some control. And that actually is a mistake there. The new Angemon cost 3 to evolve on the yellow, so I actually should have like paid 1 more. It wouldn't have mattered, but like that's an
I think it's 2 from Patamon, right?
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I think it's 3 normally. I'd have to look at it again. It's one of those secret rares, so sometimes they make the secret rares cost a little more. I'd have to look at it again.
Okay. Yeah, and here I'm just using the Agitar effects. They let me suspend actually other Digimon if I choose to play stuff out. So I'm like, well, may as well.
I realize now that Palmon you suspended was played off of the Sunflow, so technically that shouldn't have been unsuspended, but you probably would have still won anyway, unless there's like something I'm not seeing.
Sunflow would suspend itself, and then it spat out that Palmon, so the Palmon comes into play.
Yeah, so the Sunflow would have been unsuspended instead. Yeah, you're right.
But the Sunflow turned into Agitar, and the Agitar is still suspended, but I can still use its main effect.
Yeah.
And here I'm just gaining a trillion memory. I'm swinging in. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, it's 3
6
checks.
Suspended, so plus 3 checks.
Yeah, plus 3 checks, yeah.
4. And then trash and yeah, maybe there could have been a way you could have caught back up. So that's something you said. The other rookies are not really great. I didn't notice you running any Pillowmon, which makes it so I can't reduce Digivolution cost. And I figured it would actually be really good in this new format because all the training cards.
Right, that does make sense, and that is worth a good consideration. I just wanted searching, which is why I played the Kudamon and the Patamon. Like, the EX1 Patamon searches. I don't think I ever play it in this match, but I just wanted the extra searching to find pieces. Because my Digimon count is actually a little bit low, because I'm maxed out on Training and Messenger of Hope, and I'm playing 6 Tamers. So my 4 and 5 count is actually a little lower than I would normally do in a deck like this. So I wanted to like have plenty of searching.
Right. And so that's the similar to the double-edged sword that is not having big kill options like Wyvern's Breath. You don't want to see him in security when it's your turn because you're looking for Digimon. You don't really want to see him in hand because you need a way to put Digimon into security.
Yep.
And then on top of that, it's kind of similar in that sense when it comes to training cards because you've got. Sure, they're great if they're hitting security, but and they're also great to be played from hand, but they're not a Digimon. And I think Yellow Vaccine in general, I remember you saying something along the lines of, it's just a very Digimon heavy deck.
Yeah, it really needs to see a Digimon in security. which I do find very interesting. But at the same time, you do, like I said, there's a trade-off. Your removal is very based on basically the Seraphimon and the Magna Ace, and you can easily get like overwhelmed. Like there's a lot of things that those two cards can't deal with on their own, and that's one of the things I'm trying to solve with this deck, because there are times where it's like, well, there's a level 7 and like, great, now I gotta find a way to like drain 15k, which is actually pretty difficult for this deck to do.
Right. And here, see, I was super concerned. Yeah, I was like, man, I'm not going to get a chance to ace ever, I don't think. But at least I could get this Togemon effect, which is really nice. And then I think I was mostly concerned with, okay, if you're going to 3 with a training, if there's a ruin mode, I'm not going to get to come out of raising. I should probably just set up some good stuff.
Yep. And now here's like a cute little trick you can do with the TK. So the Seraphimon gets to drain whenever you recover. So if you're able to like play that TK and then gain memory off the Patamon and the other TK, you can get the drain and the security attack. So that's a like cute little trick you can do with this deck.
I do like the going to like 4 memory at the start of your main phase when you do the Patamon combo, and
Yep.
I see that in your backline, and I'm super concerned for future turns.
Yep.
But the going into Gato there, that kind of gave me a sigh of relief on my side. Plus, there's no ruin mode, so I can actually play this turn.
Yep. Yeah, that was one of the situations where it's like, I wanted to hold on to the rookies in my hand for after I moved out, and I think for some reason I knew, or I suspect that there was not a 4 in security, so that's why I did that. So, and also I felt like I was in a good enough position that it was just safe to do it.
Right. Oh, that there, there was an error where I suspended Mimi on Evo into Agitar, but you get the memory back when you
Suspend
by effect. So I was thinking of her like Yoshino, which you could argue that's one way that the new Mimi is actually weaker, because Yoshino you'll just Digivolve and get it, but so Agitar Evo could cost 2, but with the new Mimi you have to spend the 3 and then have that whole 3 in order to suspend him with the main effect. Yeah. It could work with a Sunflower effect, but again, it's also another thing where it doesn't work as well with Togemon, because if you've only got 1 memory and you Digivolve to Togemon, you won't be able to use the main effect.
I think that's the second time in a row, maybe the third time in a row, we've seen a training with EL2 of the same card. I've just noticed that happening a lot. And unfortunately, you hit into a messenger here, which is a very powerful security effect. You get to add the messenger and play a Patamon. So if you've got the BT14 Patamon in rotation, it's so good to just get it out for free.
Right. And here I'm just, praying on Quartzmon again that it's amazing. I'm sitting here with 2 Lily Aces in my hand, hoping that you swing early, even though I've just suspended this Patamon, so it's probably not going to happen. And I'm just thinking to myself, every time I see them, especially in the early game, I really wish it was Agitar and not Lilymon Ace and not Cherrymon, which are the only other level 5s that I run, because I can't really do BloomLord things with those other cards. I can't go wide. I can't play other bodies. I just capitalize on bodies that are already there. So they're kind of awkward, especially when I'm trying to suspend Togemon and play out a Tamer, then I can't go to Agitar, and I might have to blast Digivolve into Lily Ace. It gets even more awkward because Lily Ace is going to come out suspended.
Right. And here we see just how powerful that free Patamon was, because that's really what allowed me to get that other Magnamon Ace and just clear board. Without that other Patamon, I would not have completely cleared board.
Yeah, you were able to wipe the smaller bodies and then swing into a drained Quartzmon. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy, yeah. Right, so here you evolved the Sunfall for free thanks to the training. So how do you feel about training? Like, what's your training to min boost ratio in BloomLord?
I do 2 and 2 right now, just because I'm running lots of those 4-cost Mimis. That would also hopefully be helpful, and give me some sort of refund when I do BloomLord things. But all three of these games, I just wasn't able to get a whole lot of those memes out. I mean, I think this game came from security, which was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
And I do 2 and 2 because training is awkward. It doesn't work with Digizorb particularly well when that costs 1. If you have a 1 cost Evo into a level 4, that doesn't work either. It can be awkward with BloomLord if you try to do I think it's BT14's Sunplow effect, because you have to use that one right then and there, and you can't use training to further discount. It's awkward, so I do 2 and 2 because I also wanted to grab some tamers, especially in this tamer-centered build.
Yeah.
But the boosts, they dig deeper, make sure I'm able to take the pieces that I need to be taking. And then I can get that memory back whenever I feel like it. Whether or not I have this BT1 Mimi out, I can get the memory.
Yep. And here
I'm just piercing through, getting that overflow, and
unfortunately
super unfortunate check.
Yeah.
I was hoping with all this comboing, I could find some pieces to get rid of that Magna Angemon Ace on the board. But the way I'm looking at it, you're going to 3. I'll just get rid of Kudamon. That's all I can take as consolation. Yeah. I'm even looking at HPD in hand. Like, well, I think I could have done my math incorrectly, but I was already reducing the Evo cost with some inheriteds, and I would have missed the Agitar memory gain. I think I was only going to gain like 1 spare memory if I used HPD, because I would have gained 2 on the BloomLord Evo, and I was already going to get some overflow memory. I thought I was fine with 4 memory, but losing BloomLord, it was just pretty feels bad in that moment.
Yeah, sure was. Yeah, and so now I just get to kind of like capitalize on the fact that your field isn't that threatening. I believe all I get to do is I just like attack over Rookie, make Seraphimon to clear the Pomu. I believe that's what I do. Or maybe I go into Venus. I forgot exactly. Yeah, I go into Venus to just stop your big evolving effects.
Yeah, looking back, maybe if I had turned that level 3 into a Sunplow, whether or not I spat out another body off the Sunplow, it would have set up a Blast Digivolve, and it's totally fine with me if we trade level 5s, if it lowers your board presence and I get to keep mine.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just looking for a way to crawl back, but if I'm under Venus effect, I've got little I can do.
Yeah. And you know, that's a good point. Like, these Blast Evolves are like a big adjustment. We're not used to like that kind of interaction just yet. It's really easy to like forget that's an option sometimes. But like, I'm actually very curious to see like how these Ace Digimon are going to evolve over time, because I'm actually very interested in like other things they can do with the mechanic. Because a lot of them try to be disruptive, but right now the disruption effects are like a little limited. Like most of these 5 they've released, except for like Zudamon, can only target like kind of weaker Digimon. Like the Metal Greymon hits 6k, the Lilymon bottom decks 5k, the Magnet Ace can only drain up to 6k with its effect. Whereas the Zudamon, like the best one, can just bounce anything without a source. So
yep.
I'm curious to see like what other things they can do. Now here's actually an interesting interaction, because so the Ruin Node is gonna have to delete itself, which means that I have to overflow myself, but then I also get to delete the Lily Ace, so the overflow just like cancels out. So like that was just a really funny interaction that you and I both noticed when it happened.
Yeah, and that's why I was also thinking, like, what if I just hadn't played Lily Ace and I just let the Kudamon go? You know, what's one more Kudamon in this moment versus this overflow that I just wish had, maybe if it had passed turn earlier, maybe I could have gotten away with a little bit more, but it's so, those minutiae there.
Yeah, and this is also really unfortunate, because like, you had the Agitar, but you had literally nothing to play off of it.
Oh, yeah. That's the hands I was working with. When I went into that Quartzmon, I remember just having tons of Mimis in hand, and I'm like, what do I do?
Yep.
I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah, and here we're just going to Messenger of Help chain multiple times. I think this is going to be the last turn, because I've got a Seraphimon in here, so I'm going to be able to make it swing 2-check plus jamming, and that should be the end of the game.
Yeah, there's not enough tricks up BloomLord's sleeve, and there's the search cards that I was hoping to find.
Yeah.
But this was a good last game. I think we were both down to like the bottom 10 cards in our deck.
Yeah,
there's all my level 3s and 4s in the deck. And then on top of that, you played it really well. You were just get rid of all the bodies on the board before swinging, so I can't blast Digivolve. I can't get away with too much. And when I did get to Quartzmon in Game 3, you were still able to answer it really well because of the fast Digivolution economy that Yellow Vaccine has now.
Yeah. Well, you will get another chance. We've got the loser bracket coming up later, so I hope that you get a chance to show off like some of the new stuff that BloomLord could do.
Yeah, I do think there's a lot more cool combos that I want to be able to pull off, like if I do a Hydra combo and then I need to slap down Lily Ace to suspend an opponent's Digimon and then end of turn bot deck that, or something like that, where she can get a little bit more use. On top of that, I do want Togemon to be able to shine, but I was getting ruined by shine.
Right.
I was not able to keep a level 4 on the board. I was not able to drop Togemon for 4 and then suspend it on a following turn just to get Tamer value and an extra suspended body without Togemon immediately being removed. So we'll see how that goes. But I've got good hopes for Bloom. I'll be sure to tech it more as we go through the meta.
Right. Well, that's it for the first round. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let us know how you feel about this new format. As for me, this is Bancho Gray signing off.
Signing off.